Hello, we are live with SEO Collective for November. Welcome, everybody. Nice. It's so great to see everyone here. Thank you so much for coming out. Of course, we've got a really great SEO Collective event in ahead of you. See heaps of new faces. See some old faces that haven't been here for a little while but have come back. Great to see you. Sorry, I'm only looking over there just because the handsome moustache. Yeah, November indeed. I just want to go through some housekeeping. All right, how do I do the thing? There's a thing. Nice. No, do the thing. There we go. Awesome. Slideshow. Boom. All right. Before I start anything, of course, it's really important for me to firstly welcome my good friend Peter Mead, who's standing next to me. Say hey, Peter.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming. We've been doing this spin-off since 2011, and I was one of the original organisers. So it's really good to see it still, like a nice sort of a intimate crowd tonight. And but sort of feel free to just open up. But the whole thing the Meetup's been built on is just conversation. And so feel free to open up and just converse about anything that comes up. And thanks.
No worries. Thank you so much for being here, mate. And of course, I'm just the custodian who's helping things along and getting stuff done. But it's great to have this community because I know about you guys. Community and engagement and support is such a massive component to your career here. Because it is impossible for you guys to do everything, right? Yay! Awesome. It would not be an SEO Collective if there is no.
Do it live.
Yeah. All right. Redirect. All right. I just want to acknowledge that we're on stolen land. This is the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Sovereignties have been ceded, and I want to pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Of course, with a little agenda and housekeeping and things like that, of course, we are here in Easy Go Gaming's great place. For if you've got anyone who is making their way here, the doors do close at 7. So close at 7. So if you're not here, you have to watch online.
Yeah, or you have to message me if you don't have my
No. No messaging. You cut off. It's a scarcity principle. I'm going to get it happening, right? But of course, we're going to go through the news. There has been a little nice update this month. We get some opinions from the legendary Mead about that. I'm just telling you now, so get ready for that. And of course, we're very honored to have a wonderful keynote doing a very important topic. Gaston Riera from Vado. Yeah, give her a round of applause. And he's going to be talking about crawl capacity management, something that I am like knuckle deep in at the moment, or I'd rather say elbow deep in at the moment. Is so important to be able to understand how search engines are perceiving sites. You've got crawl, you've got the rend, you've got how things interact with crawlers and how things interact with browsers. It's important to know what that looks like. And it's important to know how to be able to measure that and be able to think about what you're going to do about it, particularly if you're going from the small sites to your big boys. It's really important. That's how you start to leverage the difference and the change of your workflows and your way of thinking. It does become really important. Of course, we've got a bit of a sponsor here. We've got SEO workshops with Peter Mead. Thank you so much. And of course, Easy Go Gaming, who is supplying this wonderful venue to us. And that is awesome because before we had to pay for it, well, that was always a nightmare organizing it. So, yay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm not even clapping. Usually clapping doesn't happen, but yeah, clap after everything, please. If you want to be able to have a workshop for your agency or in-house, I'm sorry, I did take off small businesses because I think it's so important. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I kind of make an executive decision on that. Because you haven't just, been working with small businesses, like you've been working with massive enterprise businesses, you worked with Bitcoin, you're now head of SEO, and there's 20 years of experience underneath his belt. And being able to go through from a technical perspective, also from a development perspective, is incredibly valuable to figure out how you're going to project manage a workflow in between teams and be able to be the person that communicates that. And this guy is an absolute weapon.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we're just, I guess the SEO workshop, the whole idea behind it is to put together, in-person workshops or online, but specifically to dive into topics, working, one-to-one with yourself or with the teams to be able to do that. So that's what I'm putting together, and if you're interested, let me know.
Absolutely. Thanks. Send an email. It's right there. Boom. Hell yeah, guys. All right. Get out your phones, because if you need a whiz later, you need to know where the whiz palace is. There is a code that you will need. There we go. So if you do at any stage need to go, you need to know what code to do. Women's, we're kind of lucky in that we're on this level. So you just go to the front door, open it up, and then you go out to the right, go through, do the blah, 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 come back, use the code. Men is on the first floor, so the one below. I do recommend taking the elevator because those stairs, it's a little deceiving, but if you're as unfit as I am, you will be breaking a sweat. So I do recommend taking the elevator, but yeah, that's your code there. So plan ahead, take photos. All right, let's get into it. SEO News. Now, all the images that I've used is using DALL-E 2 because it's really, really fun. So yeah, like a new array of interesting things. All right, so Google is loving to change a lot of the way it names things and name conventions around things. And the Google Webmaster Guidelines has changed its name to Essentials. Okay, cool. But it has added documentation, so that's more noteworthy to be able to make note of. So it includes new sections around technical requirements, about spam policies, and of course some key best practice things. A lot of things that we as practical SEOs working every day kind of know a lot of things about, but there's some really, really interesting things there. Again, I have included a little link at the bottom of this if you want to be able to check it out later. But it is really, really interesting just to look at these differences. And if you're ever wondering what is best practice, they do have the Google search essentials. So dumb. Anyway, the Google Webmaster Guidelines to be able to help you out with a lot of these things. Because it is really, really great source of being able to troubleshoot things. Introducing site names on Google search. Now this is really cool. There's been an array of different tests with the SERP pages, but this one's a little bit different. So it's using, and you can sort of see it here. So if you have and Brody Clark tweeted this out, they've been testing icons and things like that through here, but they'll actually have brand names be prominent in the SERP. They'll also have titles of the URLs, and they've even given specific documentation around how to influence the way that even the URL string shows within search. But for this one here specifically, this one's about the title. So this one's really great for brands. What's cool about that is they've actually documented how that happens. So structured data with website schema, hooray. Content in the title elements, the heading elements in your H1 tags. Again, we have seen it so many times in the past where they've been rewriting title tags, right? Well, it's all been pulling out the HTML from the H1 because I feel a lot of the time they're anyone can change the title tag, but to change the H1, less likely, it's maybe more of a match. So they've been testing that, but yeah, they're actually listing it here to use they use the H1 element here because they've actually been generating that as the title. And of course, the OG site name as well. Again, if you want to optimize these things, talk to your developer, make sure that these things are included within the DOM space.
Is the icon is that favicon usually, or is it like a?
It's favicon now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always
okay.
changed. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's always changed. So it's favicon, front name, URL.
If you're new to this, by the way, this happens all the time. Like, feel free to ask questions, myself or members of the audience. Like, it's a very nice collaborative thing, and I don't think Gaston's about to say something.
Has anyone seen the drop in CTR?
No, I don't. Honestly, it's been the same. Wish I had a microphone, but basically, it's just a visual change.
Because I have seen a couple of properties where you don't get the brand name there.
Yes.
You get just the URL,
Just the URL.
and it sucks. But it will make sense to lose a couple of clicks.
Is it only for mobile search? I've already seen it.
No, I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it on mobile. Yeah, I think it's on mobile. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely mobile, but
That's cool. I haven't tested that. I would thought to test that. Very interesting. Test it. Let us know. Alrighty. I know, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's such a bad name.
it's like the first step to the dying product. It's just like
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, so I was on the bandwagon. Was like, this is so dumb. Why is it like Lucas Studio? Ugh, sounds like it's gonna catcall me when I walk past it. That doesn't happen to me anymore. Like, maybe it's a good thing for me. I don't know. But like, Data Studio now becomes Lucas Studio. It's actually because they acquired a company called Looker back in 2020, and I don't know, like they're saying like, that there's some really exciting things that's going to come out of it, some really big things that are going to come out of it. They're going to have like a Looker Studio Pro version of this, and honestly, I'm gonna admit this right now. I have absolutely no idea what these lab features mean. I added it.
Service level agreements. That's like it's basically paid.
Where does it say SLA? Oh no, enterprise management features. I mean, like, to actually enable the labs feature. I don't know.
Okay. So you mean like the GCP?
Looker instance is hosted on the AWS infrastructure and we have a super labs feature.
Okay,
So where it's
kind of-
hosted?
It's hosted on Google Cloud platform. So that means it's similar to, say, server-side Google Tag Manager, where it only works with GCP at the moment. They might have hosting in, well, it says you can't. It says right there in your notes that they can't do it in AWS or Azure now. But
Yeah, I copy pasted this one.
probably
Straight up gonna
basically,
admit
you
that.
have to pay specifically for Google Cloud platforms. So
Yes.
you have to use the Tag Manager.
You do have to pay.
And what specific advantages does it have versus the way Data Studio is currently working?
I don't know. It's
Well,
a lot of it's a lot of like cool mystery things.
Why do they call it Looker Studio, not just Looker? Like, it's weird because you're kind of forcing the two names together.
Oh, they have called it Looker Studio.
Doesn't roll off the tongue. It does
Looker
look
Studio.
Are they retiring Data Studio as a name completely?
Yeah. So
I think it's a
Looker?
name, but the URL string's still like Data Studio.
Yeah, but is it
Yeah,
called
I mean,
Looker Studio?
Yeah.
Not, but why not just call
Yeah.
it
Oh,
Looker?
yeah. Like I even put it up from one of my reports today. It says Looker
Why
Studio.
not just call it Looker if you're going to retire the That should have been the first place.
You should be nice from SEO. You should be branding space.
It's all about the C-level. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
they-
the C
yeah.
level. Yeah, we blame them.
President,
Blame
yeah.
them. Yeah, it's
CEO just
stakeholders' fault.
wanted to
But irrespective of that, these things are happening. Anyone who uses Data Studio knows the frustration of how long things take, like how janky it is. Like sometimes the APIs will break, sometimes things will happen, or you just completely are not able to populate any data because it's just too large. Maybe I need this. But anyway, there is some cool things that they promise that will happen. I'm really hoping that, like, even just for like the base level platform, as an experience level from user, it does get better because the APIs are really cool. You'll be able to like look at cross domain or look at like cross. What do you call it? Like looking at SEMrush with Supermetrics with Search Console. We do all the different widgets. There we go. It's really, really cool to be able to use mixed data to get some insights out of it. So for that, cool. Don't know what this is going to mean. I'm hoping it's going to be cool. Of course, the October spam update is completely finished up rolling out. If I'll be honest, this actually did affect me with one of my clients. really big client that acquired like another insurance hub, and we went through and did a massive link audit, which is really interesting because in my first job I actually like built links for the one that I audited. So it was like, whoa, full circle. Wow, look at all my old janky infographics. Holy crap. But yeah, this is really interesting, like, because they've absolutely been decimated in the SERPs for a lot of their really big key terms, like hundreds of thousands of searches per month, if you care about keyword volume. But the spam update, I don't know, hands up here who has been affected or not. There we go. We've got two people on the right.
One of my clients.
Yeah. What happened? What happened there?
So that one of my clients, I work for Adidas, so I only have one client. But
fair
being
enough.
that we have like a gazillion pages,
Yeah.
a couple of our markets. If you want a discount, give me one.
Actually. Okay.
Yeah, being that we just have like millions, tens of millions of pages.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're gonna punish you.
Yeah.
It's not. I didn't do it.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, it wasn't all of our markets. Only a couple of markets that I look after. So.
Yeah, it was really interesting with the client that I was looking at with a newer client business, because I'm like, from actual experience being the person that was doing the link outreach, they would verse agencies for different verticals. I don't know if I'm saying this and that's already starting to give it away, like with some people like getting PTSD from this big guys, but they would basically build for volume, build across and try and like manipulate all different types of anchor text, like with all variations of like what's just clear like spam, all the way from guest posting all the way to like, you know, like actually interesting stuff with the infographics. But anyway, really interesting. So this is being completely rolled out, and if you cast your mind backwards to the Search Essentials guidelines and documentation, they have updated this as like, you know, this is the essential things to do. So things that involve cloaking, really interesting stuff like with cloaking, really interesting stuff when it comes to having copied content, a lot of the rhetoric around the quality of the content, misleading functionality. Again, devs will make mistakes. They're pretty lenient. I've seen some really weird stuff that hasn't necessarily affected them, or anything that I can see. Like, I think they're like being generous with them because it is really janky functionality. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a strong signal, but I definitely think when it comes to like, especially around like hidden text and links, keyword stuffing, hack content, doorways, up to a certain degree cloaking, scrape content that like deserves a DCMA. I haven't seen so much with sneaky redirects, spamming automated generated content. Yeah, they keep saying that, but I don't know. I haven't seen quite things that are really turned the tide on that. Thin affiliate pages, affiliates have been hit hard from this stuff. So if you like kind of like work this backwards, again, like if you're working on a site that's trying to do things to be able to game the system, like it's always like the long pathway is always the best practice, but sometimes you just don't get that mix of mentality when you're working with a business. Because there's a business answer, then there's the SEO answer. And unfortunately, sometimes those two just don't add up. Most of the time they don't. But when they are having things like this, it is really important. So, yeah. But,
I was just going to say,
sorry, Peter, I'm going to steal that from you.
Yeah, we'll still go ahead.
So one of the things I've seen that's been hit during the spam updates recently were pages that are over-optimized, like basically a page that's optimized for a keyword and optimized for people also ask type of subheadings. So if you have a page that's about a certain keyword and every single heading too is like a PAA, they got hit really hard. So maybe try to like write authentic content, not over-optimized, and maybe keep shorter headings is my advice. Do good stuff. But that's one thing I found that was consistently here. Pages that were very clearly using like a SEO writing tool with some grading and stuff like that, they just got killed.
Yeah, wow. Okay, cool. I don't have any clients that are
Work
like,
in the casino industry, it's interesting stuff.
yeah. I'm almost tempted just to let you keep this.
No, just go ahead and
Yeah.
next.
Peter Mead, I defer to you. What's your experience with the spam updates? Given that you've had 20 years of experience with all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much on there that's new. They've been doing this stuff. Anyone else who's been in SEO for a while, it's the same stuff they've been targeting for quite a long time. Possibly, like Peter mentioned about the PAA, scraping and reposting. That's probably been a really recent kind, I won't say really recent, but more recent way to scale your site. I mean, you can sit there and scrape, but people also ask, and build a whole website with tens of thousands of pages out of that, and rank really well until this spam update came.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the first or maybe the middle of many that's going to target that kind of content.
I mean, scraping content's been around for a long time, copy, all kinds of stuff. So,
First it was syntax, now it's AI, now it'll be whatever's next.
and probably the top one, the cloaking. That's been around a long time too. But I mean, there's still ways of getting around the cloaking. But it's very.
There's like almost like whitelisted cloaking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about like rendering.
Yeah, right. Obviously, like things like pre-render and dynamic rendering and things like that. It's very reminiscent of cloaking.
Yeah.
But showing one thing to the user and another thing to Google.
Yeah.
But it's the same stuff. I mean, I don't know. Like I guess the kind of general advice is if you're doing this stuff for clients, you got to say, is the risk worth it? If you're doing it for your own experimental sites, go for it because it's great fun. But if you're doing it for clients and you get the client burnt, I'm like never in favor of that stuff.
Yeah. Because now the client's like, cool, so this is what not to do. Now let's do everything that is
Like
the right
cloaking
way.
you were doing, which you told me you weren't doing.
Yeah, it's interesting thing. All right. I'll be honest, that's all I've got for SEO news this month. There was like some other stuff that did happen, but I just didn't add it.
Did anyone see anything interesting this month or
Well, I saw,
anything weird with GCP, Google Search Console?
I'm seeing like further diminishments in like crawl. I'm seeing further diminishments across the crawl, and like I'm lucky enough to have access to some search consoles with massive amounts of data. I was looking at another one that is like literally 20 times bigger than the one I was talking about today to like some friends here, like with 244 million clicks in 12 months. But even looking at their crawl stats, we wanted to get an idea of like their crawl rates and how like pages have been able to see that. Like you look at it over time, and it's like, there's diminishment. Look at another client, diminishment. It's a bit of a pattern here, right? But they've always said these things are going to happen. Like they've got to be minimizing their budget. So really focus on the quality of the pages, the internal linking, the way that the schema is marking up with structured data and unstructured data. All the things we've been telling us, but now they're just taking away a lot of the crawl budget. So it's like, for someone like me, I'm just like, okay, let's make sure that we're like putting things into the processes now. And now it's like, I just want you to get up here now. Because it's going to be such a good talk about crawl capacity management. But I am seeing that across
Can I just one?
mine. Yeah.
Can I?
Do you want to just come up?
Yeah,
Is he like-
speaking like a minute.
Yeah.
Gaston,
There we are. Yeah, Gaston Riera, everybody, from Envato. Woohoo!
So the thing about core budget and not diminishment that you were saying is that most people and most companies, they don't realize that crawling a site costs money and costs a freaking ton of money. Because and then also Google is this gigantic company that they make billions or maybe trillions, but they have to spend money in crawling sites.
Yeah.
We have to find a sweet spot between how much content we offer them and how much value we provide to users. And let's be honest, 99% of internet is just crap. And I'm being polite here.
So how do you increase your core budget?
What did you know?
I'm not going to take over from your
What
talk.
do we do? Do I just get in my?
Let's hand over the
I don't know.
floor.
I'm just here.
Because I need to leave because otherwise I'll be just talking about cool ideas. But all right, without further ado, Gaston, Riera, everybody.
How do I change slides?
Oh, sorry.
Just with the computer?
I
Just
forgot the clicker. My bad.
does the clicker work?
Yeah, it does, but I forgot it. So
Okay.
it's just the
Okay.
yeah. Or you just can use this guy. Oh no, there you go. Oh, my bad. Yeah, you can just use this guy.
Okay, that's all good.
Oh, I have a clicker, but it's my mouse.
No worries. Okay. Let me just move this a little bit here. There we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
That noise. So,
Apologize to people on YouTube.
I'm going to be talking about crawl capacity management in just one particular site. That's Embato Elements, the company that I work for. I'm going to try to do the presentation really quick. At least the part that I'm presenting myself, because it's just a very egotistical part of every presentation. This is a picture of me, how when I look online, it's like 5 years ago, using glasses and whatever.
You still look great.
I like your pen.
But anyway, don't distract me. So the three big companies that I work for, the three big products that I work for are Elements, Team Forest, and Mercado Libre. For people that don't know about Latin America, Mercado Libre is the largest e-commerce site in Latin America.
Amazon of South America.
Is the Amazon of Latin America. Yeah. Just a quick differentiation. South America and Latin America are different. And the difference is like 10 different countries, 10 more countries. South America is like from Venezuela all the way down to Argentina. And Latin America is from Mexico all the way down to Argentina. 21 countries, roughly. Yeah. Yeah. So because of my company and because I reviewed these slides, I have to put this this presentation, this slide about what are the big names and the other products that the company has. But yeah, I'm gonna just skip quickly. So why should we care about crawl budget or crawl capacity or crawl budget? This is just to show how big the websites that I was working for are. So Embato, 2.1 million URLs indexed on Google. This is not index, it's just the results that Google can show. Video Hub, another Embato property, 1.2 million. Theme Forest, 300,000. But if you go to Mercado Libre has one TLD domain, a CCTLD domain for each country. So in Argentina, it has 22.9 URLs that can show on Google. In Brazil, 26.6. That is a screenshot from yesterday.
Is there no generic top-level domain from Mercado Libre?
Yes, there is, but they have done this for 15 years and they just kept on going. And if you imagine, when I was working there, it was roughly 26 million URLs shown on Google, but the internal size of the index was like 250 million URLs that were indexed on Google, and like a billion that were just excluded. But anyways, this is just to show that we are not playing with small sites here. I know that it could sound like I'm bragging, but these websites are not mine. I'm not making money off these websites. I wish I could, but I'm not. So let's get into SEO, why we are here. The big problem that we had is that the site was not being indexed. A big part of the site was not being indexed. And that sucks, obviously. Because we are SEOs, we want to get everything indexed. Well, not everything, but anyways. So it looked like Google was not recrawling most of the website, most of the pages. I had to blur some of the numbers because NDAs and all that crap. But we have these two biggest contenders, Discover Net Index and Crawl Net Index. The big difference between them is that Discover is that Google knows about the URL, but they haven't crawled it yet. Crawl Net Index is that they crawled it at least once, and they decided, okay, I'm not going to index because I'm good. It was taking a very long time to recrawl some pages. October 2020, that is over 2 years ago. I checked that URL yesterday. and it still hasn't been crawled.
And those URLs are in the native information architecture. You can physically click on them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Right.
It kind of take you a couple of clicks, but
But
Yeah.
5,000 clicks, but it exists somewhere.
yeah. Or just searching for them, you can find them in 5 clicks or less.
So these are orphan pages.
No, they are not often pages.
Is there a correlation of crawl depth with any of these pages
Like
that
how
you can
deep
see?
Yes and no. There is a correlation, but they are not incredibly deep. They are not 20 folders deep.
Like 5 or something?
Yeah, 5
Yeah.
or
Like you
3.
expect them to be crawled.
Yeah. We expect them to crawl, and there are crawl paths to it.
Yeah.
It's just because Google is not getting to it, they just don't get it. Let's keep going. I'm afraid of this type of questions. These two, it's just Okay. The thing is, was Google actually crawling the site? Because if they are not just seeing the pages for 2 years, maybe they're just not crawling the site. Yes, it was being crawled. Roughly 90 million hits in the last 3 months. That is a screenshot from 2020, so almost 2 years ago. So still, most of the site was not being crawled. Google didn't get to crawl the entire site, and it is a freaking large site. Why was that? I have no idea. I'm sorry. Presentation here. Just get it. Such a good presenter. So we came up with 2 theories to work on. Actually, we came up with like 15 different theories, but I'm gonna show you guys 2. The ones that are, the ones that are more flashy for presenting on a crowd. So we needed to work on content quality and internal linking. These are just big things. Let's narrow it down a little bit more. I'm gonna get to them in a bit. What did we do? We got into the basics. I mean, really the basics. No index, redirects, no follow, and crawl paths. More or less to it. Gaston, why are you telling us that? This is just SEO basics, SEO 101. You're working in a project that makes tens of millions of dollars per month, and then you're saying this. Well, it's because it works. And yeah, I know, it's the basics. The thing is how we use them and how we try to make them work for our particular needs. So let's get to it. The first battle, as I told earlier, was about content quality and how we define content quality through the eyes of Google. A key takeaway here, and this is really important, that is why it is just one slide, the same as the emoji that I showed earlier, is that content is not just text that we're showing on Google, it's just everything that we're showing. It's just every page is content. And once you make the shift in mindset, you can you understand how Google is crawling things, or how they understand what they want to show for users. Because we SEOs, we just say, okay, let's put more content, let's optimize the content, let's optimize the text. We always think about text, keywords, and things and stuff like that. But no, when you get to a certain size, it's not just text. Text is not going to cut it. So let's think about pages. We have 2 options about the content quality. It will be focusing on adding add content, focusing on quality over quantity, or removing content from Google's index. This is an outdated screenshot. As you can see, these are the number of items that Elements has in the library. There are 2 big numbers here. One is stock video, 2.8 million. And the other one is photos, 5.7 million pages. That is items that each item is a page. So if you put those 2 together, we are already over 8 million pages on one language. So we have already 9 million items. That is 9 million pages. And if you translate it into 5 other languages, that is roughly 50. And if you add everything that goes around it, it's like 60 million pages, just like that. So, other 2 options, we couldn't focus on adding more content, focusing on quality over quantity, because we are ingesting hundreds of thousands of items per day or per month. It's just too much work.
Unique content to like 60 million pages of one. I think you do it all.
What? Shit happens. Sorry, I shouldn't.
It's just being large payments.
Oh, it's fine. I cuss on it all the time.
Anyways, so,
This isn't monetized, so it's fine.
but it could be. So, because of how large the library is, and because of the problem that we already knew that Google was taking too much time to get into crawl the entire site, or they just didn't get to crawl the entire site. We couldn't focus on just ingesting more content with good quality, because it would take a lot of time to ingest a significant amount of content that would marginally, this is hard for me, marginally increase the quality overall, because you will have to ingest another 10 million items that are exceedingly of good quality to improve the quality overall. That would take a long time, and we wanted to get results right now, as every SEO wants. So we went from, remove content from Google's index. Why is that? So the whole thing, I'm just going off the rails. I had my script and everything, but I'm going off the rails. The whole thing is how Google see the content and what's quality. It's not about the item itself, the item that we are showing, that we're selling on our site. It's about what Google considers content. And again, we going back for the content of every page. Every page is what's relevant content. And what reduces the content quality overall of a site? Fucking duplicate content. Sorry, I went too deep on cursing, but yeah, duplicate content. Yeah, we hate duplicate content, but sometimes when you're on a very large website with a very large product, you cannot control that. SEO is just a very small, tiny piece of everything. So, what did we do? We indexed and removed duplicates ruthlessly. This is just Screaming Frog, because I love Screaming Frog. To that, Screaming Frog crawling the sitemap. The sitemap was that include all the item pages, and if we order it by the length of the URL, you can see that there are many URLs that have the same length, and the URLs usually contain the title of the item. So if you put two and two together, you can see that there are many items that have the same title, and that sucks because that means that there are many items that have duplicate titles. And this is just, I'm showing a couple hundred. Imagine doing that for 11 million or 60 million items. The duplicate thing gets very, very bad.
You don't questions on the slide, like there's some more plots. This is like, I have questions.
Do you want to ask it now?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, is there a particular reason why you decided?
Do you want the microphone?
Oh, but I got a question too.
Yeah, just sit together.
Wait, just sit next to each other.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, that's dangerous.
I was going to ask Gaston why you decided to go with no index instead of trying to reduce crawlability or trying to use canonical instead.
Good question.
The
The thing is, when you have such a large product, you cannot just single out items. You have to do it at scale. You don't have enough people power to do that, just brains. So because we have several million items, what we thought is like, okay, what if we know that there are items that are a part of a series, that they are almost duplicate because they have the same title? Why don't we just come out with just serialize? I don't know, just group them all together and just show one, index one and no index all of the others. We could use just user signals to detect which is the one that we should index and blah, 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 and all that. The thing is, we wanted to go with that. That's the best solution, the best user experience solution. But it would take us half a year of work, at least engineering team that we had at that point. So we said, no, that's too expensive. We cannot wait for half a year for something that it's going to hurt us, and it's going to hurt us for a long time. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I got distracted really quick.
Deciding who's gonna ask the
So it's going to take us a long time. And when you're working in-house, it's not just that you propose to do something and they just get it done. Even though you can have a lot of engineering power behind you, it just was too expensive. Didn't want to wait half a year to implement a feature that should be released on staggered, and it would take like 3 years to implement the whole feature across the entire library. So we said, okay, the issue here is how Google is seeing our content, how the duplicate content is impacting the Google's view of our quality overall. So let's get rid of it. Just plain and simple. Let's just, in a way, it's just cutting the weed out. So we started no index a lot, by many millions every time that we were doing it. Is that a good answer? That's that answer?
Yeah.
Cool.
You did consider canonicals, because I remember you talking about this ages
Yes.
ago.
Uh-huh.
But I think like we came to like the impasse. It's like canonical is a hint, not a directive, and you kind of wanted to have like the quicker answer. I think that's what you came up with, but that's not a question.
Yeah. Before you ask the question, we believe in our team, we had a very long and very heated discussion. We believe in this case, canonicals wouldn't work. It will create more problems than solutions.
Yeah.
Because canonical, the biggest issue is that canonicals, for them to work, Google has to crawl the page. Has to crawl the page many times, and they have to crawl the page that the context of that. And we were not getting enough crawling. So we wanted Google to just go all to the rest of the site, not just there. Because we knew that this is crap at Google's eyes. We just don't want to see that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, I have a question.
She's still finished with
No index and no follow? Or no index follow?
No index, no follow, obviously. All right, sorry. It looks like a hot take, but no. My point of view, if we don't want a page to be indexed by Google, we don't want anything on that. That is just, it's a big no-no. So why would we want Google to follow the links that are there? Just don't want them.
Yeah, no index follow.
Wait. That's
Right.
That's exactly what I was about to just say.
Yeah, no index follow, I think eventually gets treated like a no index, no follow anyway. So I think you'd be better off.
well, yes and no. It depends. There are many intricacies on that. It depends on how long that is, if you take it out or not. But yeah.
How much time, I guess, is the question.
Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be here. I would be in a yacht. Many millions of dollars.
I've got another question. I'll put mine.
Sure.
How long did it take you to crawl all those pages?
Who said that I crawled them?
You did?
I didn't. I didn't say that I crawled them. No.
You just found instances of it happening.
Well, the thing is,
Examples, or-
we can't crawl. Let's back up a little bit. When you're working, unless you have an enterprise crawler and you have infinite amount of money, infinite amount of time, you can't crawl the entire site. It's not worth it to crawl 60 million pages because it's just too much data. And on a website like this big, everything's templated. If we are using our brand, it's just cut a slice of it and just big portions and then extrapolate. We knew that. So every time that I'm crawling a website this big, I just use a portion of it. However, for this particular case, because we own the site and we own the database, we just made a really big complex query to see, okay, what are all the duplicates that we have in titles? And then we estimated if it is X amount. I almost said it, I shouldn't have said it. We estimated that it's X amount. So yeah, we started the basis of that.
That's awesome. So I'm just interested to how you were able to find the duplicates themselves. So you said like you're using it by URL streaming and the like a slight difference, but essentially the same titles that will be populated from these pages. URLs by definition have to be different. So you said a query, like, or did you use Screen Frog like natively to find like near duplicates?
No, we didn't use ScreenFrog to find near duplicates. We started using the assumption that if because we don't control the content that we upload, the authors that are uploading the content, the users. So authors are usually lazy because they want to upload thousands or even tens of thousands of items. So they just add one title and one description to multiple images or videos or whatever items that are almost the same. So based off that, we said, okay, if we know that X amount of our library is duplicate, it has the same title, most likely it's going to have the same description, most likely it's going to have same other metadata, and we started just based off that. Because crawling a site this big, it's a pain in the beat, and also you have to ask the infrastructure team to whitelist your IP, how to have it's not worth it. At least it was not worth it for me. If I was able to just extrapolate a conclusion from crawling 10% of the site, or even less, 1% of the site, that's good enough. What's happening? Are there any more questions?
I have
Sure.
more questions, but I think I was limited
I
to
think we
three.
should let Gaston go to
Yeah,
the next slide.
I mean, I can be here up until 10 p.m. After that.
I'll come and be part of it.
So there we go. This is an example. So a few tips on how to get what's an index. We use Collins index as a proxy. A good thing, because if you have a site that is this big, and we had just one Search Console property, you can see only a sample of 1,000 URLs. But if you have multiple properties separated by folders and all that, or hundreds of properties, wink, wink, you can have hundreds of thousands of URLs that you can use as. Yes, Peter?
I was just gonna ask, like, have you tried asking Google, because I know you're tied with Google, like, why is it limited to 1,000? Like, why not 100,000? Why not a million?
Yes, the answer is because we can. No, they haven't said an answer. No, it's just
Next time you'll amaze me and ask why.
So the thing is, I am a gold product expert in the search community, and
Yes,
every now and then we can have a chat with Martin Split or John Mueller or things like that in private. So we get to ask a couple of these questions. Of course I asked. I'm very insistent. And they said, well, it's about the official answer is because it's about performance, because the number of websites that are this big are less than 0.1% of the entire websites in the world. And if you are in this type of websites, you don't need that much a Search Console. You can have other tools. You have your web server logs, you have your GA or tracking tool, whatever. You don't need that much. And they said, imagine if someone that has a small e-commerce that has 3,000 URLs, they want to check it. They want it to be fast, because if it is a small business, they don't want to spend 5 minutes to get all the URLs. They just want it to be in a second. So it's about performance. Always about performance.
Yeah, if you query the API like for 500,000 rows in like a few seconds,
Well,
that hard.
Yes. And I don't know the answer. I don't have the answer.
Yeah,
for that.
because that's my main thing. They always say it's like, oh, we limit to 1,000. I'm like, great, except I can get 400,000 rows or 500,000 rows via GSC API query, and that's not good. It doesn't matter about performance with that. And I think that's my main argument. Because I would love to query all broken pages or all no index pages or not called or discovered or all of those ones. And there's always you can only get it via the GSC visual 1,000 limit.
Yes.
Basically.
If we keep talking about this, we are branching off SEO, and we started to talk about what is to have a product that is used by millions of users. The problem with that is just the bureaucracy of a large company. They're just trying to optimize and see what features the most used and all that. So we can talk about that later when I'm not online. Yeah. Yeah, so I went off track really quickly. So tips on how to get what we want to know index. Use Google's Collins index as a proxy. We have a good percentage of the URLs that Google has seen, where a good percentage were Collins index. And then check duplicate titles, URLs, content, or description. In this case, three pages that are distinctly different in the image, but the title is the same. The description was also the same. And Google says, well, we can ingest images and all that, but processing images is so freaking expensive. And they just don't do it. Imagine they having to do that for 60 million items. They will spend a lot of money, and maybe it's not worth it. Why would Google want to index these three very, very similar items? There's no point. And we are not providing enough context for them to be different. So, yeah. As I said, just a different image doesn't make a page different to the eyes of Google. That's why I was making the point earlier today, and I'm coming back every single time. We have to think of content as the page itself and try to see what's different in to the eyes of Google. Let's keep rolling. So again, following the idea, don't index and remove duplicates ruthlessly, we find out that we had 2 languages that were roughly the same. It was we translate everything through APIs, of course, because you cannot translate millions of pages by hand. I mean, you can, but it's very expensive and it takes a lot of time. So we said, okay, let's merge the 2 languages that are roughly the same. There were 2 Spanish languages. For some reason, someone in the company decided that we need 2 Spanish, one for Spain and one for Latin America. And yeah, they were
the same, right?
They were. I mean, not many people know, but I'm from Argentina, and of course I speak Spanish. And for me, they were just 99% equal. It was just the same. It didn't make sense to have 2 different ones. And yes.
Sorry, was there any localization, or was it just like a straight out translation?
Yes, there was localization, but only it was done poorly. The localization was just for Spanish in Latin America instead of per country and all that. So,
Right. So
it was a
Argentina specific.
No.
Paraguay specific or something like
No. There were a couple of differences because Spanish from Spain has a couple of words that mean different things and all that. So we caught all that. But anyways, what we did, okay, we are thinking about removing duplicates. And if we have 2 Spanishes that are duplicates, let's merge them. At least it doesn't make sense to have 2. So we merged a few million pages. You can't do the math and how many million pages it was, because my company didn't allow me to put the number. Anyways, so we redirected 15% of the site traffic. And an interesting thing is that we redirected the high traffic site, the high traffic language to the low traffic. It was 20 times more traffic. It was scary as shit. Yeah, you can see the graph here. So this is Search Console at that point.
So remind me, Gaston, why did you pick to change the successful version of Spanish to the generic or like the
Great question. So I don't know if you guys can see this. So the folders were /es and /es419. So ES419 is the geocode for Latin America, for the region. And the ES419 was the one that was very successful. The reason why it was successful was because it was launched a year before the other Spanish. So big companies, this thing happened, and it was really successful. It was up to 2 digits of the entire traffic, the entire site's traffic, more than 2 digits. So yeah, we decided to go to move the high traffic to the low traffic for consistency in the long term. We are thinking of this product is going to be living for 5, 10, maybe 20 years, or maybe 1 year. I don't know. Just we have to think in the long term, and having a good folder, a clean folder that represents Spanish, made sense. Because if we kept the ES419, it would be confusing for users. It could be confusing to Google. I don't think they care that much on that level of the URL, but yeah.
I think I'm asking because I know this situation. I've asked you this before, but isn't ES-419 not valid href flag? Like,
It is not.
Yeah, it's not valid. So why was that so favored?
It was favored because it was one of the first languages that we added to the website.
Start with so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people living in Latin America. Almost 1 billion people living there. So there's a lot of traffic that you can get from there. So yeah, let's keep going. Keep this. I'm not even halfway through the presentation.
All right, we might.
No, it's so good. We can take a break if you want.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, maybe we'll call it on the
Yeah,
questions.
we'll call the
It's-
question. Then we'll grow you up. That's a slide.
Or just ask politely.
Yeah. Crap. So keeping on cleaning up the content quality. Other things that we did is just we turn all type pages into search pages. When you're working on an e-commerce like website, you know that tags on item pages, they create a lot of confusion. They could add context and all that. But in the end, tag pages are the same like search pages. They are just listing pages. And so I said, okay, we can use those tags. They were converting really poorly and turn them into search pages because everyone searches on every website. So we, in a way, we removed those tag pages, but they were just redirecting to the search pages. We no index all search pages by default. This is a very interesting thing, and I encourage everyone to do that, to start from a clean slate. No index every internal search page that you have on your website, because it can get messy. You can get traffic from very stupid things, and it will create a lot of noise. So we no index all search pages that they used to be tag pages, so we remove a lot of pages, and then we no indexed a lot of pages, and we went from a big number to a small number. This is the old coverage report. So we decreased the index size by half without impacting organic traffic. That's a key thing. So you should, at least at the beginning of every project, we should aim to remove all the pages that don't impact traffic or don't impact revenue. Because if you impact revenue, someone is going to knock on your door and they're going to be very angry. No, it hasn't happened to me. So, yeah, that is the end of battle 1. Yes, Nick?
Sorry, really quick question. It's awesome that you decreased the index size and you didn't have any impact on the traffic. That's awesome.
Well, it was not any. There's always some impact in traffic,
Yeah.
but it's not significant. If you can have 1 or 2% impact in traffic, it is negligible on a site this large.
Yeah. Did you see any other added effects? Like, did you see some of the things you were working on with the content quality maybe be rewarded? Like any increase in like an average rank over across period of up to the project?
Yes and no. We did see positive impacts. We didn't see positive impacts in traffic or in average ranking, because this takes a long time.
Yeah.
When you're playing around with websites this large and with this amount of content, when you have an issue with crawlability, Google has to crawl the site, has to recrawl the site, has to understand all the things that happen there, and then decide if they want to keep that page in the index. If not, and then start the context and all that. It takes a couple of years, to be honest. So we didn't see yet, at least at the point of this presentation early this year, we didn't see any impact in traffic. We can talk later when I finish the presentation, because I wanna stay on topic and I wanna stay on course with the numbers that I'm showing here.
Yes.
It's all good. Yeah, keep going. The battle number 2, internal linking. This is a buzzword nowadays. It has been for a couple of years. This is how it looks like with most widget. The light blue one is green here, but it's light blue here. The follow links, the purple ones are the no follow ones. And you can see this is the left-hand side navigation, no following. A lot. That's what I like. I'm the no follow guy. So internal linking, out of the many tactics that we thought we could do, we went for 2: reduce the number of crawl paths and no follow links to low value pages. Don't pay attention to that schema. I put it there just to don't leave the page empty. Basically, what we wanted to do, this still is our motto on our team, is be intentional and be smart about the crawl paths. Because we are saying, okay, Google is not getting to crawl all the site, but if you're not giving them a good crawl path, they're gonna never get to the end of it. When we say intentional, it's only have the links that go to valuable pages. When we say smart, it's just use no follows or remove them or obfuscate them or do something so Google doesn't see them. It's okay that users can see them, but Google shouldn't see them. But yeah, let's keep going. I got very mixed up with WhatsApp. So only link to valuable pages. This is I'm twisting the words there because at the very beginning I said links to remove links or no follow links, that goes to low value pages. But we should always have in mind what are the value pages on our site. Easy. What are the value pages? The ones that make money. What are the no value pages? The ones that don't make money. Plain and simple. This is a project, a big project that we did that is adding links between related searches. If we connect this to what I said earlier, that we indexed all search result pages. What we did here was something kind of sneaky. We added links to relevant search pages, relevant search terms using user signals. So we found out, we calculated in a way the same as Google has as CTR. We calculated our own CTR when someone searches on the website and then clicks on the item and so on and so on and so on. And then we added links between those searches that are relevant between each other. So creating like a core web. With this, we increased 10% of our organic traffic. This is up until February, March, at least this year. Now it's higher than 10%. And this is 10% in organic traffic overall on a site that has several million pages.
Nice.
So yeah, that was good days. So as I said, we call them useful pages because they are useful for users, useful search terms. If it has a search term, it will not have an index. So we are ruling out what we said earlier, saying, okay, all search pages should have an index unless they are useful. And that's the whole idea. We want to put in front of Google pages that are useful. All the other crap, just take it out of Google. Okay, link only to valuable pages. What happens when you have a site that keeps growing exponentially with many teams and many hands on the product? Can happen. Things can go sideways. People added the hreflangs and they were linking to pages that were low quality. What happened is that if you were searching on English, it would have a search would be hello. It would have an hreflang to Spanish or to other languages with the same term. The term was not translated. So it would be in Spanish, it would be hello, and the results would be whatever. Or, yeah, but it wasn't translated, so it was not hola. It was just results in Spanish of items that were hello, or even worse, they were just returning 404.
You can do that at scale with, I don't know, like a search result like hello or something like that. How do you even match up the hreflang tags so they're reciprocal when the content's so different? Like, it almost seems like a manual task.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
So how can you do that? What you do is just in the backend, when there's a search, if it is a search that says hello, for example, that search goes into a backend to a search engine, whatever, and then it gets translated. That search gets translated, and then when you are showing that page on each language, instead of getting the hello, the English term, it will get the translated version.
And then you were removing ones when there wasn't the same, like in terms of like the reciprocal results, but one of them was lower quality in a different language.
Yeah. So we didn't assess the quality per search page. What we did is just, okay, all the pages that are in a different language than English that have terms in English, there should be no index, because that's the issue that we cause. Because if you're in Spanish and you search for something in English, it's very low value page. It should be in Spanish. Everyone should search in Spanish.
Yeah.
Or language.
Branded or something like that, for example. Let's say you had like a X widget.
Oh, thank you.
And you had bi-directional hreflangs, but it would kind of return the same results, if that makes sense. Like if you're searching something, it's like a branded search.
If it is a branded search, brands don't have a language, so it would work well.
That's what I mean.
It will work well in that case. You can have a lot of exclusions and particular cases, and we did that. But if in the large scale of things, how many brands are there and how many different terms people are searching for? I would say it's like 91 to 1, one being branded terms. I haven't checked that number.
Was there any scenarios where you wanted to keep, say, the English version of a page, but you wanted to remove the Spanish version of the page? Like no one has that?
Yes, there were. But we went for the clean slate. We removed everything, and then we are slowly adding whatever is deemed useful. Because there are terms that could be English, but they are searched in other languages. Marketing, for example. Marketing is just a global name. It's not a brand. Everyone searches like marketing. But yeah. So with this thing, we saw that the index was just exploding and just exploding. We caught it relatively early, and we decreased 15% the size of the index. Again, keep that in context of a 50 million pages website. 15%, it's a good number. A good number. Remember, everyone, this is a headache for everyone that is in SEO. hreflangs are 3-directional. If you are in one language, it has to be in other language. Always. Woohoo! So, I said earlier, what are valuable pages? In short, pages that we want Google to index. We can say pages that make money, but sometimes there are pages that we want on Google that they don't make money directly, but they are valuable for our entire funnel. Because of link acquisition, because of user acquisition, and many other things. But in a way, they make money. But those are the pages that we deem valuable to be on Google. Just a clarification, if it was not clear. And then when I was mentioning nofollow, and I was mentioning that I'm the nofollow guy, as for nofollow, what we did is adding, if you're on a no index page, there are some cases where you want a page to be no index, but you want the page to be followed because there are relevant links to other parts of the site. If that happens, we wanted to add a nofollow to the links that go to no index pages. That is a screenshot that I was showing earlier. If you are on a page, let's say the homepage, not a homepage, but if you're searching for something, and then there is in the left-hand side navigation, there is a filter that goes to a no index page, because that we decided that filter is going to be no index. Why would we want Google to follow, to get that link and follow to a no index page? So we said, okay, if that page is not valuable, the link should not be valuable either. So we added nofollow to links that go to no index pages, and then filters and facets with a grain of salt, all nofollow. There are filters and facets that are relevant depending on your e-commerce. For us, pretty much all filters and facets are just crap to the eyes of Google. Again, the overall result, we got Google to recrawl more pages. This is the part that I say capacity management, because we want Google to recrawl pages. We want Google to all the crawl not index pages to be crawled again, because this is my own statistics. It takes Google between 4 and 5 crawls to index a page, to decide that the page is indexed. The minimum is 3. The first one is discovery. The second one is just trying to render the page. The third one is actually rendering entirely the page and then assessing the context. And between 4 and 5 is the average. Again, this is my personal number. It would depend between industries on top of websites and so on and so on. So we got Google to recrawl more pages. That is going through the crawl queue, because Google has a crawl queue, and we got Google to crawl more than 60% of the pages that we had on crawl not index. And this is the result that we were seeing, the result that you were asking earlier. How did we see that this is successful? By looking at this, Google actually crawling more pages. It could be that Google has crawled more of these pages and all of them will be no index. But if Google clear the queue, then they have more capacity to see all new pages that they haven't seen ever. Yeah. So why crawl capacity management? Because the crawl budget stayed almost the same for almost 2 years. And this is something really interesting. I mean, the crawl budget increased a little bit. It was 90 and now it's 140. But if you would think that after doing all this, Google would see, okay, the overall quality of the site is better, so I'm going to give them more capacity, more budget. I don't want to say budget, but anyways, more budget, crawl more of them. But they say, no, I'm sorry, this is all that we have. So we said, okay, we did all this, and we didn't get more crawl budget, but we are still ingesting more new pages, and that's the management side of things. Yeah, that's a cool result. Again, this number is from early this year, May this year. I can say that as of yesterday, the numbers are roughly the same.
Was the platform the same the whole time, or did you have any major technology change or like redesigns and stuff like that?
Yes, the platform was always the same. Yeah.
Always the same, because like that's why I noticed that if you do a major change, the crawl budget will spike because you will see something.
We did made a major redirect, and the crawl budget didn't increase. I mean, there was a spike for that redirect because we were redirecting massively from one day to the other. But then it was a spike for a couple of days, and then it went back to normal. So yeah, almost at the end of the presentation. Thank you for you. Yeah. So bonus track, an unpopular opinion: sitemaps didn't help at all. Sitemaps hate sitemaps. But actually, it is an unpopular fact. It's not that just I say the sitemap that doesn't work, because they actually didn't work. And I did like 100 different tests, changing the URL, changing the size of the sitemap, hosting them on different sites. Anything, nothing worked. So we learned. This is our experience. I have to put the disclaimer because Google says that sitemaps still work and all that. It's pretty bullshit. But anyways, so we learned that sitemaps didn't help indexing at all. For our case, they were only helpful for debugging indexing. That's just it.
What percentage of the URLs that was sitemap will index? That you reckon, like 50%, 80%?
Can't say that.
Oh. Turn off the microphone.
Okay. I have 2 more slides, but yeah, you have a question?
Clean up. How did you just let Google do its own thing to find the ones you wanted it to find, or did you prompt it in any way?
Sorry,
Sometimes
you're talking about the
sometimes
sitemaps?
we'll push URLs and like resubmit them manually.
Oh, like a manual fetch.
Yeah.
Like he goes away too big.
Yeah, I know. It's like there's APIs and stuff. You just let Google recrawl it.
Let me organize my thoughts. Yes, we let Google recall them. We cannot just do it manually. The APIs, the indexing APIs, should not be used for this.
No.
Should not. You can use them. Should not. We tried it, but yeah, they kind of work. But if you want to be on the safe side, don't use them. Don't use them on your client's website.
Yeah.
We had clearing from the CEO saying, "Hey, we want to try this because we think it's gonna work." With this set of pages, a couple of thousand, are we clear on the risk? If it goes south, it's all the management that is in it. But yeah, so yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having like 3 or 4 more thoughts. So yeah, that's it. Thank you and gracias. Peter has a question.
Of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not easy to be in front of you. Huh?
Yeah. I wait till I've a few. So you, I guess, obviously you talked a lot about like no indexing and that kind of stuff, and managing that proactively. What makes you make a choice between adding something in the robots.txt and explicitly blocking Google from crawling it, as opposed to handling it by no index and handling it at the index level as opposed to crawlability?
I really like that question because there is. Let me go off the rails for a little bit. There is a gigantic confusion in the entire industry that you can index stuff with robots.txt. That people are handling no indexing with the robots.txt.
Mm-hmm.
I have tried it. It kind of works, but it only works if you have a really massive website. I tried it in Macau Riera with like 100 million pages, and it works. It doesn't actually remove yours from the index, but they added the disclaimer, and because of that, they are just dropped from the result. Instead of ranking 1, it will rank 5 or 6, or go to the second page. So that's that. This, for everyone, don't use raw.txt to handle no-indexing. Because if you want no-indexing, you have to let Google see the page, and if you're blocking it on raw.txt, Google will not see the page. So what was the question?
The question was like, why would you make a decision to say, like, for example, you have a lot of no follows on the website for pages you want to no index. But once a page has already been no index, why not add that to the robots.txt? Or if it's a pattern, it's probably more appropriate if it's a pattern, for example, like everything that's slash blah, like slash hello, whatever it was before, for example.
We haven't got to that part yet. We are still not indexing a bunch of pages, and eventually that would be the ideal. Once we index an entire folder, block them from raw.txt, but we haven't gotten there. Because Google hasn't yet seen the entire site, and they have to see it multiple times. And if you pay attention, I said that it takes roughly what?
I said ouch, because you pay attention.
I'm gonna repeat it how much that one. So we were saying that the current stats were roughly 1 million clicks per day. So you have 1 million clicks per day. If it takes roughly between 3 and 5 hits for Google to index the page or to understand what the content is per day, you can only ingest 200,000, and that is unique, 200,000 unique URLs. And there will be a lot of pages that will be recrawled every day and all that. So if you want to recrawl the entire site, 60 million pages, with a roughly, let's say, excluding the unique URLs and all that, like 50,000 unique pages crawled per day. It will take you, with 50,000 URLs per day, a 50 million site, it will take you 1,000 days? 3 years? Is that math correct?
I don't have a calculator. I don't think anyone here is going to do the abacus.
So, 10, 1,000 days?
If you know,
1,000 days.
write in the comments.
1,000 days. Crap. Yeah.
A lot of time.
A lot of time.
Long time.
Or let's say 100 days, just to be on the safe side. 100 days is 3 months. 3 months to crawl the entire site just once. And they need to, and that is, they need to crawl 3 to 5 times. So it would take, if it is 5 times, it would take a year and a half, 15 months. That's a lot.
I think also too, being naive. It's being.
We are SEO.
So like if you're a staging site and you can like see some of these URLs being created, then you can probably block them from preemptively. But that's not how SEO works for anyone else. Like, it's always retrospective. So
yes.
I can see it.
And the thing is, when you have a site that has so many moving parts and they are ingesting items at such a quick pace, like 100,000 items per day, you cannot control that. Because the value proposition of this site is having a breadth of content. So we needed to ingest, the company needed to ingest content. And because there is a team of a couple of SEOs saying, no, please don't ingest content, it's just, they don't care. There's too much money at stake to just content.
Okay. So with the size of the site, look, fantastic work. Not gonna
Thank you
about that. And reducing the size of the crawl, that's fucking phenomenal.
We're streaming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's
It's
fine.
done.
I'm never going to monitor.
This is Australia. So now that you've been able to achieve such a thing, do you have some sort of like processes, training, or documentation to prevent it from happening in the future? So it's not like that band-aid approach.
I would like to have that. I would like to have documentation, but the thing is, this is just a particular site. There are no other site like this in the world. So having the documentation for this, it would be just spending time, just nothing.
Yeah, so it would be more for like the internal team. So when they do upload like duplicate content, you've got the systems in play.
Well, yes, I get your point, but instead of having documentation, we would have to, instead of the documentation, we want to have processes that do that automatically. So we shouldn't be relying on the people that are managing that content. We should rely on our own system. Because when you get a site this big, you're not just doing SEO, you're building software that uses SEO. And that's another mindset shift. So software that you're building. Oh, the two fingers.
Yeah, thanks for that awesome walk through something so massive like that. Lots of us, even though if we've worked on big sites, wouldn't have that kind of large experience. But what I'm really interested in is the concepts here, where you talk about crawl capacity management, and then right towards the end of the presentation, you talked about crawl budget. Whereas lots of people would have started the other way around and started talking about crawl budget as the reason why things aren't getting crawled or indexed. I'm interested because where my experience of crawl budget is that it's emerging when the crawl queue is being built. As the crawl queue is built and it starts calculating its own specific crawl budget. So another part of this question is, at some point, do you expect to work on perhaps maybe improving the crawl budget as well?
I think I have a personal issue with calling crawl budget because there's not such thing as a budget. Google it's something that fluctuates, and Google has virtually infinite crawling power and all that. And thinking of a crawl budget is just a misconception. It is a buzzword that people use at some time, and then now they're just running all around saying, no, there's not something of a crawl budget and disclaimers and all that. I prefer using capacity because that's the capacity that Google is allowing. The capacity that Google is allocating for us. It is, in a way, you can think of it as a budget, but it's just capacity. We have a finite capacity, and we have to use that finite capacity to ingest as many unique and valuable URLs as we have. In a way, I would say, without talking for like 3 hours, that we are optimizing the crawl budget here. Because crawl budget is not just the number of URLs, it's how Google decides what are the most valuable pages or what are the most valuable sections of your site to have that crawl, to be crawled. And in the crawl queues, is depending on how relevant the page is and the content and many other valuables that we don't know, maybe we never know. It's how the crawl queue will have one page or another at the top to be crawled next. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, really does. That's a great perspective. That's a great way of looking at things. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
We're going to have Peter's question, and then I think that's it.
Okay. I don't mind.
I could go
Actually, no, I do want to have just one more question from this guy.
Alright.
I was actually going to say from my question because I want to ask one that maybe pertains to, like, I'm just aware that there are some people here that work on enterprise and large websites, and there are other people here that work on, like, you know, your small e-coms, like your mom and dad shops, like brick and mortars, all kinds of other stuff. So I do want to ask, like, maybe a question outside of just like the massive scope.
Sorry, before you get into your question, I did almost the same presentation in June in another event in Spain where Gary Ice was also presenting 2 talks after me. And I was saying that no, because I did it in Spanish, so maybe he didn't understand what I was saying. No, because crawl budget, crawl capacity management, sidebars and all that. When he actually didn't present anything, he did a Q&A, and the event is called SEO on the Beach. I suggest everyone to go and watch it, at least the Gary Ice Q&A. And I was the first one asking because intense. And I asked, what are his thoughts? I asked him, what are his thoughts on optimizing for crawl budget? And he said, browse CXC, internal linking, and just decide what are the valuable pages that you want to Google. But you don't want to Google, just block them. Don't let Google bot get to those pages. And he was that. So, I mean, browse CXC is a very, very valuable tool for crawl capacity management and for crawl budget optimization. It's just when the site is so big, You cannot just, there are no rules on Pro-CXC. It's just lines, and you have just a couple of things we can.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But yeah, sorry, your question.
So I'm curious about what else you said at the start. You looked at about 15 different things and then ended up settling on 2. So I'm wondering, like, what are some of those other things that you looked at? Namely, did you look at anything like improving page speed or core web vitals or anything to help with improving crawl budget? Sorry, not budget.
We did do a bunch of things. I have a hot take on core web vitals.
Yeah.
I think they don't work for a few things. They will work in the long run for users or for CTR, for conversion rate purposes and many other business metrics. But for websites this large, it's just too much work.
Can I just clarify why I asked that? Because let's say that you have a ton of duplicate pages, like you have a lot of these photo pages, 5.something million photo pages that are all likely the same structure, and potentially they could have issues with layout shift. Now, if you have layout shift, that's going to impact the site speed. So if you're able to then fix that layout shift across those millions of pages and then reduce the site speed by a little bit, then you'll increase the speed at which those pages can be crawled. Is that?
I don't
I have to disagree on that.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Layout shifts usually don't impact. They don't impact the loading.
It's not crawlability. That's a
Yeah.
post index, and that's only 1 or 200 factors. So
Yes.
And also,
Interesting.
you have to think about how Google crawls the page. They just download. The crawl by Google is like a session of 3 milliseconds of window of time, because they will not interact with the page. You just load the HTML. They try to render it. They just don't scroll, don't anything.
Yeah. The first purpose of crawlability is to look at the head and look at all the anchor text. That's it. Like that's just they need to have a list of what to crawl next, basically.
If you want to optimize something for crawlability, it's time to first line. That's the one, because that's the show.
Yeah.
Time to first line and maybe caching, depending on where your traffic comes from and all that. But if you are a company like this, you don't have problems with your servers. Because they just pay more for the servers and that's it.
I worked on a massive e-com site, and we rewrote all of the legacy CSS. Massive project. It took us like 1.5 years. And by the time we ended that project, like when I was doing like benchmarking differences, like we scraped off like 18 minutes cumulative time across thousands of pages. 18 minutes is a long time, but I saw way more from improving content, marking them up with entities, creating those silos, having better internal linking processes, and having good quality content, far more than I saw like from that project. It was a cool project, but that was, we got so much more.
Google, like, yeah.
The thing is, why was I being so insistent about the content quality? Because that's a couple of years ago we would say that content is the king or the queen, depending on which side. But so instead of saying the content, it's the quality of the content, the quality of the site overall. It was the king. The king or the queen, whatever. So we have to have a really good site, a really good quality of everything on our site. So users have to find it very useful, and people have to want to come to our site. If they do that, Google will say, okay, this site is really valuable, and we just throw more resources to it. It's not just crawlability, it's how they assess them on rankings, how fast they crawl it, how fast they're ranking, many other things. So SEO, even though I'm saying that I'm technical SEO, but SEO at its core, it's the quality of the content that you're putting out there. Again, with the disclaimer of the content being the page, not the text that you have there.
Perfect. Good answer. Thanks. That'll save me a lot of time. It's something that I've looked into a bit, working across multiple millions of pages, and it's actually pretty hard to find a definitive answer online. There's a lot of...
this is not a definitive answer.
Well, I prefer to take your answer than what I've found on Google.
Yes,
You've got more experience with it than probably a lot of the answers that I've found.
I have experience in a couple of things.
Yeah.
And my experience only applicable to those things. Just want to be completely clear on that. I have experience on e-commerce sites and very large websites.
Mhm.
If you put me on a newspaper, I would know what to do. All of the things that I'm talking here, if you want to ask me on Twitter or whatever, I'm more than happy to talk about this in a public setup on Twitter. Or I don't like LinkedIn. On Twitter, if Twitter still exists in a couple of years.
So now I'm gonna cut it off.
Cut it off.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it off. Sorry.
That's good.
Sorry. This man came straight from like a meeting to
So you
come
wanna
here.
ask your question?
Meeting.
I think you answered my question actually really succinctly when you're like, oh no, let's just look at crop capacity management as like sort of general principle and remind about that. Because I think I was just really, really mindful that, there's a lot of people here that don't work on giant enterprise websites with millions of pages, millions of clicks, millions of impressions. But, that's fine. Because even the example that I just gave, massively authoritative site, So even saving 18 minutes, dropping in the water when it comes to the rest of the site. But for smaller sites, I think the question is when does it sort of become that crawl capacity management is a thing that you should really take a look and be concerned about?
I would say that it is an issue. It doesn't depend on how large the website is. Of course, the larger the website is, the more likely it is that you will have a quality issue. But I would say if you know that you have X amount of pages, if let's put some numbers. You have 100 million pages available to Google, and you know that 50% of those pages are valuable. 50% of those pages should be on Google. If you don't see 50 million pages on your coverage report as indexed, you have an issue there. Very simple. You can see it differently, saying, okay, let's see what are all the pages that are driving traffic from Google and all that. It will take you a long time, multiple SQL queries, but yeah, you can see that too.
Awesome stuff. Gaston, Riera, everybody. Such a great topic. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. If anyone wants to reach out to you, Twitter, Mastodon.
Twitter.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, guys. If you want to be able to reach out to us after this, we're on LinkedIn. Obviously, this is getting streamed to YouTube, so please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for every new video that does come out from us. We're on the first Tuesday of every month. We do have a Slack channel, and it is incredibly active because you can imagine how we talk here, but you can only imagine what it's like on Slack. And I was reminded that I Slacked someone at 2 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
Was that was you? Yeah, showing you the link graph. I'm like, look at the things. But yeah, it is very active. There, you can reach out, ask specific questions, and then you just have this wonderful collective hive just kind of swarm around with cool ideas and fun things. It is by invite only, so come find me. I will send you the link. But yeah, that'd be very good. Or otherwise, find all of us on Twitter. Peter Mead is on Twitter. Gaston Riera is on Twitter. Peter Machinkovich is on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter as well.
Try LinkedIn for me.
That's so sweet of you. All right, thank you so much, guys, for everything. We will see you next month. Of course, we're going to have Sally Mills, and she's going to be talking about programmatic SEO, which is really cool. We're just deciding whether or not to do finance SEO. She was at Allianz, now she's at another financial institution, but she's going to go programmatic, which is really cool to look at scaling up and looking at things and just basically doing basic tasks, but faster and more efficiently. Very cool. Thank you so much for your time. Woohoo! Hi, guys.